So first of all, we're not in the same space together. And so I'm not able to come and touch you. Even if we were in the same space together, I guess I can't touch you anyway. So I can't pull your arm or your leg or your anything like that. So there's like an extra responsibility for you to listen more carefully so that you align your body in a way that's going to nourish you when you do your practice. And also all of you have practice experience. So just, intuitively feel what is right for you in your body. I'll give modifications as we go along, but if something is unclear or you need a different modification, then please unmute yourself and let me know. And then always let me know if you have an injury that you're dealing with. It might be something that comes up new, just so that I can accommodate for that particular injury as well. And then, so our class today will be mostly focused on back bending and like a slow preparation towards that. And we're not going into major back bends at all. We're just going to take a journey towards this freedom in the body and the freedom in the mind, essentially. And so our theme for today is based on in the Yoga Sutras, Sutra 1.12, which, a vague translation of it is basically practice, which is abhyasa in Sanskrit, and detachment, vairagya, are the two pillars that lead to freedom, which is moksha. So there are lots of different interpretations of this. Hello, Ilanya. There are lots of different interpretations of this. And I guess, traditionally, like kind of orthodox yoga would interpret it like quite strongly. I mean, the practice part I get, because it's not only the practice of the yoga, but it's the discipline of, hello, Jill, morning. It's the discipline of showing up in life. And just, taking responsibility and showing up in life, regardless of what the outcome is. So for me, the vairagya is not only in the orthodox interpretation, the detachment from the desire, but really the detachment from the outcome of the actions that we take. It's a theme that comes up in the Bhagavad Gita as well. Because, if we just do our work, or we do our practice, or we create our art, or whatever it is, we just show up for our responsibilities without any attachment to the outcome, it gives us a lot of freedom. It gives us a lot of peace, because we're not pushing and pulling to get something. And, I don't know about you guys, but I'm always pushing and pulling to get something. That's kind of human nature. So we do things to get something. But the moment you let go of that, hello, Kari's friend, the moment you detach from that wanting to get something, there's a sense of creativity that can just flow through you without, wanting a specific outcome. And then it doesn't really matter, how it unfolds. It kind of reminds me of, Buddhists when they make that like mandala art in the sand, and then they go and they just clear it again, and there's no attachment to what they've created. And, then it brings me to the one thing that I've been thinking about a lot is like this. So practice and discipline, it's kind of self-explanatory, and I'm sure we all agree that life is easier when we just show up rather than kind of shying away or taking back doors or whatever it is. I've taken all the back doors, but there's only one way, and that's actually showing up and doing the work. But the detachment from desire is actually the translation that a lot of yoga people use. And that is completely true, but it doesn't mean that we don't have desire, because that, I think, becomes quite confusing. But that the desire that we have is essentially the alignment with our own truth. So there's this thing in the Upanishads. There's a passage that says, and this kind of puts clarity on that for me, because desire will always be there. And even in quantum physics, desire is the way that we manifest. But in the Upanishads, it says, you are what your deep driving desire is. As your desire is, so is your will. As your will is, so is your deed. As your deed is, so is your destiny. So it's quite important to check what it is that we're desiring. Is it a healthy desire? And then I want to take that one step further, so because we've all got also unhealthy desires, and even the unhealthy desires that we have, when we really look at them, underneath the desire, whatever it is, you know, whether it's wholesome or not wholesome, is actually the desire for freedom, which is the ultimate yogic desire. And so then we don't get stuck in our perversions and our, you know, like whatever it is that we desire, but we actually go beyond that and think, okay, I'm going to make it very simple. I desire to drink whiskey. Okay, all of us have drank whiskey or wine or whatever it is. It might not be the most wholesome desire, but what am I looking for when I do that? I'm looking for freedom. And so then when you go beyond, you know, the gross desire, you understand that what you're really looking for is a deeper desire for freedom. And then that in itself already almost liberates you from wanting to drink the whiskey, because you recognize that you're looking for freedom. Morning, Lindy. Because you recognize that you're looking for freedom, and that is all really, you know, that we've all got that in common. So it's about showing up, and it's about like showing up with no desire for any specific outcome, except just the freedom that comes from those two things of practice and detachment, which ultimately is the deeper yogic desire. It's just for soul freedom. So in your practice today, you know, really focusing on, okay, like the freedom beyond the posture. So you're not trying to perfect a posture, you're not trying to push too hard, you're not looking for more sensation, but and that's also okay. If that is there, recognize that that is actually just the desire for freedom as well. But how can we completely just become free in the practice? And then it becomes a process of creating art. We're here to just create energy art together, and that's the beauty of life, because then everything, washing your dishes, driving your car, going to work, everything is just like art for freedom. So I'm inviting you to just observe that in your practice today. So we're going to start seated in Vajrasana. And in this Vajrasana, when you come to seated today, I'm going to show you from the back side. Make sure that your heels are together, okay, like that, and your feet are together as well. And one way of making sure that the feet stay together is taking a foam block. Those of you with wooden blocks, it's way too strong. Rather take a normal Iyengar foam or a foam block, and then seal your feet in together. So if you find that when you come and sit in your Vajrasana, you are feeling strong sensation in the front of your ankles, then you can bring a blanket and just bring your shin bones onto the blanket and have your feet free. If you're feeling tension behind your knees, then you can come onto your head and just pull this flat blanket right in behind your knee joint. So those are all the options, but make sure that you take some form of support that can help you to seal your feet in together. So whatever that is, softer props work better. You can use the wooden blocks, but I mean, that would be quite hardcore. I guess that's real Iyengar yoga if you take a wooden block there. You can also tie your ankles together with a belt. That's another way of doing it. And what this does is it actually sets the bones in your legs. It sets up the shin bones so that they fit nicely into the knees, and it sets up the femur bone from the knee. So you should feel quite a directness. And yes, there will be some sensation in the ankles and the feet and all of that. But really, when you look at the structure of the body, when you reset the feet, which is actually what we're doing now, we're resetting the bones of the feet, then whatever posture you do will be very aligned from the roots upward. And very often when we have knee niggles or hip niggles or whatever is going on in the body, sometimes spinal issues even, my scoliosis in my spine is related to one of my feet. The arch is much higher than the other foot. So it comes from the base. And this is one way of kind of resetting the foundation of the posture. So finding some sense of comfort here. And then just close your eyes when you're ready and let your hands relax onto your thighs and just drawing your attention inward. And notice if you are seated more on one sitting bone than the other, you'll feel that in your ankles now because your sitting bones are aligned kind of above your heels. So just notice if you're leaning to one side or the other and just finding center to the best of your ability in this moment. Drawing your awareness deeply within the body. And then at the base of your pelvis, draw your tailbone to your pubic bone and draw your pubic bone back towards your tailbone so that you create a lift in the pelvic floor. And then lift your spine up from the pelvic floor to the base of your skull so that your spine becomes one long line. Bring your shoulder blades deep into your back and lift your sternum, open your chest. And then bring your palms of your hands together, right in front of your heart space, in the center of your chest. Let your palms equally press against each other. Let your elbows settle back and down so that you lift your armpit chest. Let the tops of your shoulders release down your back, away from your neck. Soften your throat. Relax your jaw, relax your tongue. And then let your eyes very gently soften back and down to your heart space. So there's a sense of looking inward. And let the crown of your head just balance directly above your pelvic floor and lift upward. So there's a lightness in your spine. And then within this posture that you've created, just allowing your breath to flow with absolute ease in and out of the passages of your nostrils. We'll open with one chant of Om. Exhale completely and inhale deeply. Om. Bow your head to your heart. Just take a moment here to make your own inner acknowledgements. And then release the backs of your hands onto your thighs. Very softly let your eyes open and then bring your head back up. So releasing carefully onto your hands and your knees. Make sure you're at the length of your mat. So you can remove your block. And then as you release your feet, tuck your toes under, just stretching the toes, and let your thighs be perpendicular to the floor. So they're in a straight line. Your hands, place them about 45 degrees in front of your shoulders, and place it in such a way that for today, your index fingers are facing forward, hands wide. And so we're going to go between a cow posture. You all know cat-cow, but we're just going to do the cow part, which is like a back-bending part, and downward-facing dog. So we'll start in this cow posture, dropping the abdomen down, pushing your sitting bones up, opening your heart space and look up, open your throat, and just stay there for a few moments. And you can continue to breathe right now. Eventually, this will become the inhalation. But right now, just breathing here, finding that back bending action. And then on your next exhalation, slowly bring your abdomen back to your lower spine and push back to Adho Mukha Svanasana, reaching your heels down to the floor, bringing your chest to your thighs, and just relax your head and your neck. Stay here for a few moments, just finding the posture, creating that connection with your tailbone to your pubic bone to your tailbone, so that right from the base of your spine, you are aligning your spine and you're protecting your lower back, because feel how that brings the abdomen rightfully back into the lower back. And now we're going to move. So see it as a breathing exercise. From here, you're going to inhale as you come forward, drop your knees down, coming to a back bend, arch your back. Exhale, moving back to Adho Mukha Svanasana. So inhale, dropping your knees, arching your back, cow pose. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. We're going to continue for a few rounds like this. You can go at your own rhythm, inhaling when you open your heart, exhaling when you're going back into your dog stretch, and let your breath move your body as you go between these shapes. So inhaling, you arching your back, exhaling, moving to your dog stretch. And just moving with awareness of your breath, of that fluidity, finding that sense of freedom. And each time you come forward, see, can you find a deeper back bend and open your throat, open your heart. So it's like starting to iron out the spine, finding that freedom. So finish the round that you're on and then do one more round in that way. And we'll meet in Adho Mukha Svanasana when you've completed your final round. Take your time to get there. And then those of you that have tighter hamstrings, I would recommend to put 2 blocks at the front of your mat. And we'll all meet in dog stretch. So in your Adho Mukha Svanasana, let your inner groins roll back and out. So that internal rotation of the thigh is very important for the back bending. Tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone, and feel how that brings the lower abdominal area back to the lower spine. So your lower back is protected, because that's an area that needs the protection in your practice of back bending especially. And then rooting down through, especially the thumb and index finger side of your hand. But your upper arms are moving in the opposite direction. So roll your inner upper arms up and out. So there's an external rotation of that upper arm bone, and hug your outer upper arm area in to your midline, in towards each other. So those outer armpits wrap down and then in towards each other. And now from here, keeping your feet hip distance apart, walk your feet forward to your front of your mat, Uttanasana. Use your blocks if you need to. If you're not able to keep your spine straight, use your blocks. And I'm going to recommend today that those of you with tighter hamstrings bend your knees, so that for today, the focus is not on the hamstrings, the focus is on lengthening the spine. So if you need to bend your knees to lengthen your spine, then please do that. Otherwise, if you can keep your legs straight and your spine straight, for those of you with more open hamstrings, you can catch the backs of your ankles and draw your elbows out to the side and draw your chest closer to your thighs. So really be where your body is today. Also respect that every day is slightly different. And if your hamstrings are tighter, then better to have your hands on your blocks or bend your knees quite a bit so that the upper body can really, like a waterfall, pour down towards the earth. So there's a sense of freedom in your spine. So it's not that much about the hamstrings for today. Of course, you are going to feel your hamstrings opening, but that's not the focus. The focus is on creating space in the spinal vertebra. And then keeping that tailbone, pubic bone connection, which essentially is the lower abdominal area drawing back to the spine, and bring your hands onto your hips. Lift your chest up and then come up to standing. And stand so that you can face towards the camera. Take one of your belts or your scarf and make a loop in your belt or your scarf that is the size of your armpit to armpit. It's kind of the middle armpit to middle armpit. Make it, we did this last week, but make it a little bit wider. So it's kind of like just to the inner, to the inside of the deltoid. So like that width, so that it's liberal and we're not creating hardness in the shoulders. And then once you've got your belt loop, come and stand with your feet hip distance apart, outer edges of your feet in alignment with each other. And then just to show this action of, you want to draw your tailbone to your pubic bone to your tailbone. It's such an important action in all the postures, but especially in back bends, to make sure that you're not injuring your lower back. So tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone, which then creates almost like a V shape that lifts the pelvic floor up and it protects the lower spine. It also goes into Uddiyana Bandha from there, but we're not going to focus too much on that. But it just protects your lower back. Take your belt or your scarf, make sure the loop is to one side, the buckle is not on your skin, and you're going to place it around your wrists, straighten your fingers forward. Now draw up your knees and your thighs, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So your foundation is strong. And then hit your forearms out onto the belt, but hug your outer upper arms in. Very important to get both actions simultaneously. Otherwise, the shoulders are going to hurt if you just pull the belt out. So the belt pulls out to the side, your forearms are going out, your outer upper arms, hug them in towards each other. And then from there, take your arms up and back, up and back. I'm going to make sure I'm in the screen here. So you take your arms up and back, and keep the belt pulling out to the side and simultaneously hugging your outer upper arms in. So if you're feeling stress in the shoulder, it means that you're not getting this action of the outer upper arms hugging in enough. There should be warmth in the shoulder and a feeling of opening the shoulders. And your belt is around your wrists. So just making sure that it's around that area. Fingers are straight. And you're pulling out onto the belt with your forearms. The outer upper arms are going in. So you've got bidirectional action happening here. And everything in yoga is basically this bidirectional action. And that's how we protect the joints. So tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone, lift the energy up the spine, lengthen your spine as you stretch your arms up. And you're lengthening from the pelvic floor to the base of your head, and then balance the crown of your head above your pelvic floor. Now on the next exhale, release. And then just staying as you are, same stance, just take your belt behind you and bring it around your wrists once again. So you stretching your fingers out, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So you've got that inner connection. And then that will also keep you in line with your spine. And now bend your elbows slightly. So a lot of us hyperextend our elbows. So very important here for those of you, especially that hyperextend. Pull the belt out to the side, hug your outer upper arms in, and then take your arms back and up, back and up. And as you do that, watch that your head is not coming forward. Keep your head in alignment with your spine. And that you get simply by doing that tailbone, pubic bone action. Keep hitting out onto the belt with your forearms. Keep hugging these outer upper arms in. So again, if you feel stress in the shoulders, there should be warmth, not a sense of stress. If you're feeling stress, you've got to create this action of drawing the upper arms in more towards each other. Relax the tops of your shoulders, this upper trapezius area down your back, soften your throat. That's it, you're in Marilla, nice. And then exhale, release. Drop your belt, keep your stance where you are. And now take your arms out to the side and feel this wide spread across your collarbones. And so this sense of liberation, so important. For a lot of us, we build tension and hardness here. So just that sense of opening up. I'm just going to let somebody in. And so there's like a spreading of your wings. And then from there, bringing your allergen, bringing your right arm underneath your left arm, wrap your arms around each other for eagle arms. If you can't get the fronts of the hands together, then get the backs of the hands together. Straighten your wrists. And then lift your elbows up. So you bring your elbows up and drop the shoulders down. So that, again, you've got bidirectional action. Nothing is actually moving. Your elbows are going up, your shoulders are going down. And then from there, draw your hands away from your face so that you get a spread over the backs of your shoulders. And again, it should feel like comfortable warmth. Hi, Jane. And now from there again, spread your arms out like wings to the side. Feel that broadness in your collarbone area. And now bring your left arm underneath your right arm. Wrap them around each other. And hands together, front of the hands or the back of the hands, whatever works. And those of you that have your hands in place, try to get the wrists to straighten. So it means that the left hand is to the front of your right palm. So like that, instead of trying to fit the hands on top of each other, because that's going to bend the elbows. And now lift your elbows up, drop the tops of your shoulders down, and then spread across the shoulder blades, just finding that openness. Nice spacious breaths. And again, reach your arms out to the side. And now from there, bring your hands to interlock behind your back. Squeeze your palms together as best as you can. And then take your arms up and back, but keep your lower front ribs in. Keep your head in line with your spine. And then take this closed fist and bring it over to your right side. I'm just mirroring you. Hug your right elbow in. Look down to the floor. And then drop your right ear to your right shoulder. So you're breathing into this left trapezius area, dropping the head slightly forward. Keep that tailbone, pubic bone connection in the base of your spine. So you, all the time, you're still in alignment. Yeah, very nice. And then bring your head back up. Take your arms back for a moment. And change the cross of your hand. So the other index finger comes underneath. Squeeze your palms together once again. Draw your arms back. Keep your lower front ribs in, your head in line with your spine. And now take that closed fist and bring it over to your left hip. Hook it in. Left elbow back. Look down to the earth and then drop your left ear to your left shoulder. And breathing into that right side of your trapezius. So you're just allowing this experience to flow through you, opening, finding that freedom. And then from there, bring your head back to the center. Draw your arms back one more time. And then exhale, release your arms. And have a look at the camera. So some of you might set this up in a lower fashion. If you have any sensitivity in your lower back, I would recommend your blocks on their medium height. If your back is feeling fine, you can take your blocks on their higher height and just observe. If you can't see from far away, you can come closer to the screen. So the first block is going to be in between your shoulder blades. Your feet are going to be square like I am now. And you're going to place that block. So you're not moving the block, you're moving your body according to where you've put your block, and you're holding it with your index finger and your thumb. Once you've lied down, then you're going to take your hands and put the other block underneath your occipital bone, so at the base of your head. We'll land with the arms like this, and then we'll take the arms over, hold here, and we'll do the other side. Those of you on lower blocks, you're going to roll to the side. If you've chosen the higher option, you've got to come up. So lower abdominal area connected, and you're going to come up to sit. Okay, otherwise you're rolling to the side if you're on the lower height. So set up your blocks according to how your back is feeling. Sensitivity in your lower back, you're on the medium edge. Otherwise, you are on your higher edge. And come and sit in front of your first block. And then bring that first block, holding it with your thumb and your index finger behind you, and bring it in between your shoulder blades. So that one lands there, in between your shoulder blades. And then taking the other block and putting it underneath your occipital, underneath your head bone, here, the base of your head. Outer edges of your feet square. And again, if your knees are bent for today. So it's a variation of Bhujangasana. Normally, we would be in a different leg position, but for today, we're just taking it with ease. It's much more about opening up that upper back area. Those of you working with wooden blocks, they are a bit sharper than the softer blocks. So just make sure that the block in between your shoulders is in the right place for you. And if you find that it's a little bit strong, if you've taken the higher option, then you can take a lower option. Jill, I know that's the wooden blocks are sharp. They're for the diehards. And you can raise your second block. If you can't put your head down, you can put your foam block underneath that block. So you bring the block up, the one for your head. So make sure there should be a sense of comfort once you land in it, and you should feel that beautiful opening in your upper back area. Making sure that you're landing. If you find your head is throwing back quite a lot, Merle, and it's hurting your neck, then you can bring the second block on a higher height and take the first block on a lower height. Or if you've got something to put under the second block for your head, then you raise it up. But if everybody, just making sure that your neck is feeling soft. You're not stressing in your neck. And then let the tops of your shoulders roll down your back. Let your throat be free. Let your collarbones be free, and feel that space coming into the chest cavity. Just allowing that expansion of the rib cage as you inhale, and the softening of your abdomen back to your lower spine as you exhale. Make sure that the upper buttock area is descending towards your heels, so there's length in the lower back. And now, just as we did when we were holding the belt at the wrists, take your arms up and over your head, beside your ears, and stretch your fingers away from your feet, palms of your hands facing each other, and hug the outer upper arms in. So the outer upper arms pull up towards the sky. And then from there, hold on to your opposite elbows. So try grab right at the elbow points, and then let your elbows settle down to the earth, but draw your outer armpits up to the sky. So there's a little bit of action there. Otherwise, you're just going to hang in the shoulder joint, and you want to make sure that the shoulders are active while they're being stretched. So that outer upper arm area, roll it up to the sky. Letting the abdomen soften back to the lower spine, and just enjoying that openness, that liberation that comes in the breath, that freedom. Notice which arm is crossed on top right now. And then again, take your arms up and over your head, palms of your hands facing each other, all the way, stretch your fingers away from your feet. So just as you had it when you took the belt all the way up, draw your arms back, roll the outer upper arms up to the sky, and then change the cross of your arms, hold the opposite elbows. So the other arm comes on top. Again, let your elbow points drop down towards the earth, but roll the outer upper arms up towards the sky. So that keeps the shoulder joints engaged while you're opening up the shoulders. So it's subtle, but it makes a huge difference in how the body responds. And then again, just finding that sense of liberation, freedom, expansion. Once again, reach your arms up and over your head, stretch into your fingers, fingers away from your feet, full body stretch. And then exhale, relax your arms beside your body and let the palms of your hands turn up. Pause for a moment. So if you've chosen the option that you are on medium height with your blocks, then roll your body onto the side. Otherwise, you're going to hold on to, press your hands down, hold your abdomen back to your spine and come straight to sit up. And then just sit upright for a moment, pause, reassess life, okay? And then have a look at the camera. So we're going to do a stretch of the piriformis area. So you're going to remove the blocks eventually and then lie down just with your feet on the floor, crossing the one leg into a figure of four and the right hand through, the other hand around. So if you find here that you can't lie down on the floor when you do this, then prop yourself up with something behind your head. And if you still feel like you can't reach the shin bone, then you can also hold onto the back of your thigh. Okay, but we'll start together. So come and lie down onto the earth. Outer edges of your feet square with each other. And then cross your right ankle over the front of your left thigh. So it's actually the little toe side of the right foot. Flex the right toes to your midline. So that's going to get into that outer hip area a bit more. And now weave your right arm through the center of that loop. Bring your left hand around and catch your hands around your shin. Interlock right at the web of your fingers. And if you find that your body's lifting up, take some support behind your head. Or you can change the interlock and you can hold behind the back of your left thigh. So however you're holding, draw that left leg closer to your front of your left shoulder so that you're bringing the right foot with it and you are aiming to lie that right foot onto the front of your left shoulder. Feel that when you flex your foot, your toes to the midline, you get a much stronger opening onto that outer hip area. Let the lower back rest onto the earth. And again, if you can, try to get the fingers to interlock fully. Then it's much easier to get the pull of that left leg closer. Soften your throat. And every now and again, you see if you can go a little deeper by drawing that left leg closer. So finding that sense of freedom, that sense of liberation. And then And from there, release, bring both your feet onto the earth once again. Cross your left ankle over the front of your right thigh. So it's more like the little toe side of the foot, if you can manage. Flex the toes to the midline. That's going to activate that outer glute area more. And now weave your left arm through that loop, your right hand around. Catch your shin bone, interlock the fingers at the web. And again, if you feel one side is sometimes different to the other side, if your head is lifting up, take some support behind your head, or you can shift your hands and hold onto the back of the thigh. Ruth, let your right foot relax completely, your right leg. Yes, let it hang. Yeah, that's it. But your left foot is active. Your left toe is drawing to the center line. And then as you draw that right leg closer to your front of your right shoulder, bring the left foot with it so that you are bringing that left foot closer and closer to the upper body as you let that outer hip glute area open up. Lower back rested into the earth. And just dropping into that sense of inner freedom. So through liberating the body, we find that inner freedom through the practice. And then from there, release your feet onto the earth for a moment. Hug your knees in towards your chest. Those of you that have any sensitivity in the neck, just be cautious here. But you're going to roll backwards and forwards a few times. Build some momentum so that you're massaging your spine. Finally, when you feel that you've got enough momentum, then rock yourself up into your dog stretch, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Those of you with tighter hamstrings, set up your blocks at the front of your mat. And then everybody walk your feet forward and come into Uttanasana. Feet as wide as your hips. Again, those of you with more open hamstrings, you can hold on to the backs of the ankles, draw the elbows out to the side. The focus is on lengthening the spine. So bend your knees if you need it. Let your head and your neck relax. Let your eyes relax. So that every movement you make comes from that sense of freedom. And then broadly spread your abdomen back to your lower spine. Lift your chest up and come up to standing. And we're going to do from here some rolling sun salutations. Those of you new to the class, I'll just demonstrate the pattern that we're going to use. So when you jump back from here, it's a good idea to take your feet a little bit further back so that you can lean your body weight forward. And then from there, you get a little bit more hop, landing in your dog stretch. To get the vinyasa in, your feet and your hands need to be a good distance away from each other. So it's a longer dog stretch, this first one. Coming into Palakasana, if your lower back is sensitive, you drop your knees down. Otherwise, Chaturanga. And then to get the rolling of the toes, you need that longer distance between the hands and the feet. Lower back niggles, you just drop your pubic bone down. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now you can make your dog stretch shorter once you're there. And then from there, coming forward, and then we'll come up from there. And we're just going to roll. So the one will go into the other. Again, see it as a breathing exercise, and we're just going to warm up the body in this way. Modify as you need to. And then come and stand at the front edge of your mat, whatever you consider to be the front. Feet together, Tadasana. And we're going to move with the breath. So let your breath move your body. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana. You can bend your knees if you need to. Step back a little bit. Root your hands down. Inhale, look up. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, wave forward into Palakasana. Drop your knees if you need to. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha, or drop your pubic bone down if you need to. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, come forward. Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, reach your arms up. Exhale, Uttanasana, folding forward. Inhale, open your chest, hands flat. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, like a wave, come forward into plank pose. Exhale, your variation, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, roll over the toes. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Just a moment here. If you're not able to roll over the toes, it means your dog stretch is too short for that first one. The second dog stretch where you're in now, you can make this one short because now you root there for a moment. But the first dog stretch needs to be long. Come up onto the balls of your feet, bend your knees, look forward, keep your buttocks lifted. Inhale, press into the hands as you hop forward. Exhale, fold. Inhale, reach your arms up. And it's just like a moving meditation. Exhale, fold forward, Uttanasana. Inhale, open your chest, hands flat. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, wave forward into plank. Exhale, Chaturanga Dandasana. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Let your breath move your body. Inhale, come forward, Urdhva Uttanasana, lengthen. Exhale, fold, Uttanasana. Drop your head. Inhale, reach your arms up. And last one, exhale, Uttanasana. Inhale, Urdhva Uttanasana. So you get ready, flatten your hands. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, like a wave forward into Palakasana. Exhale, Chaturanga. Inhale, Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, drop the shoulders. Exhale, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Inhale, jump forward. Urdhva Uttanasana, lengthen the spine. Exhale, drop your head. Inhale, reach your arms up. And coming to stand in Tadasana. Just take a moment, just feel your breath, feel your heartbeat. And then take up your belt once again. And this is where I would suggest, if you can, and there's space in your place, try and orientate your mat in the same direction as mine, just for this short moment, because it's going to be easier to follow this next bit of the class. And once you've changed your mat, then just come and have a look at the screen. If you can easily see where you are, then you can stay there. Otherwise, it can be helpful to come a bit closer. And we're going to use the belt again in the same two orientations we used it earlier on. So starting like this, the feet are going to step apart because the jumping won't work with the loop. Arms up, and we're going to work with warrior one. What I'd like you to have a look at before we do this together is the foot position. So the left toes are going to turn in first. Then I'm keeping my right heel rooted and I'm turning that leg out. It makes the stance longer. So don't start too ambitiously long when you're in your stance. And then this lifting of the left heel up so that the left hip wraps forward, and then from there rooting the heel down. So the brain of your posture is in that back foot, and it's against the resistance of that back foot that you bend the front knee. And then I'll give you instructions when we're there. So come and stand facing the camera if possible. If not, you just have to listen carefully. Put your belt on. Again, let the tail of the belt be on one side. Have it around your wrists, fingers facing directly forward. Step your feet wider apart. So again, remember that when we turn out the feet, in this particular variation of it, they are going to go quite long. So don't take a massively long stance yet. And then from there, hit onto your forearms, hug your outer upper arms in, take your arms up and over your head, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. Press into your left heel, turn the left toes in. Press into your right heel, turn the whole right leg out. Now, Lift your left heel up and wrap that outer left hip forward, and then root your left heel down. Both legs are straight for the moment. Roll your inner left groin back and out to help wrap that outer left hip forward. And then against the resistance of that left heel, bend your right knee. Take your arms up and back. Keep hitting out onto the belt with your forearms and hug your outer upper arms in. Yeah, nice. Drawing that outer right hip back. Outer left hip forward. Yeah, nice. Now tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So you get the lift from the pelvic floor up to the base of your skull. Remember where you had that block in the dorsal thoracic area between your shoulder blades. Bring that block deep into your back to lift and open your chest. And take your arms more up and back. Forearms hitting out, outer upper arms hugging in. So keeping that connection. Breathe. Just feeling the posture, finding the liberation now in the work as you stay. And then slowly from there, you can slack a little bit on the belt, but try keep your arms up. Come forward, outer edges of your feet square. So you're just kind of holding the belt up now. Give your arms a rest, but they're up. And then from there, again, activate. Draw the forearms out. Hug your outer upper arms in. Turn your right toes in. Press into the left heel, turn your whole left leg out. Now you've got to lift that right heel up. So you're on the ball of the foot. Wrap that outer right hip forward. Press the right heel down. Keep your legs straight for the moment and focus on the brain of the posture, which is that right heel. And then against that resistance, you bend your left knee directly above your ankle. Wrap that inner right groin, draw it back and out. So to wrap that outer right hip forward and draw your outer left hip back. Tailbone to pubic bone. You can bend your left knee now, Maggie's. Yeah. Tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So you get the lift from the base of your pelvic floor up. Remember where you had that block in the dorsal thoracic area. Bring that block deep into your back. Open your chest. And now hit out on the forearms, but especially hug those outer upper arms in. So the outer armpits come and turn in towards each other. And then take your arms more up and back. Throat soft. Just being in the pose, you're doing the work. You committing for this short moment in time. And then from there, turn your feet square forward and just release your belt. Okay, I know it's hard work. Take a moment. You don't drop your belt, just release it. Okay, just give your arms a break. Okay, feel your shoulders. Again, if you're feeling any tension in your neck, it means that you need to get this wrapping of the outer arms more. It's a very, very important action. Otherwise, it is going to sit in your neck area. So keep your outer edges of your feet square. And now we're just going to change the belt like we did earlier on. And you have it behind you. So again, it's over the wrist area. So fingers facing directly back. That's how you've got the belt. Your feet are square. So we're going to repeat warrior one posture, but just with the belt in a different orientation. So going more into that back bending action. So again, root your left heel down, turn the left toes in, root into your right heel and turn the whole femur bone out as you turn. Lift your left heel up, wrap that outer left hip forward, root your left heel down. So for the moment, both legs are straight. Root down through that left heel firmly. And then against that resistance, bend your right knee. And now on that left leg, that back leg, you want to roll this inner groin back and out so that you wrap that outer left hip forward. Draw the outer right hip back. Tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. Lift the energy up from the base of the spine. Remember that block in your dorsal thoracic area. Bring that block into your back. And now take your arms up and back. Hit onto the forearms. Elbows bent out to the side. Hug your outer upper arms in. and lift up the length of your spine. That's it. Very nice, Ruth. Yeah, everybody, that looks great. Throat soft. So you in the moment, you're doing the practice. Just look straight ahead for today. So don't create too much hardness in the back of the head. Just working with that openness on the arms. See how you're doing a back bend already here. Take one more breath there. And then from there, square your feet. Again, you can just relax. You keep your belt, but you just give your arms a little bit of a break so they stop doing the work, because it is strong work. And now pressing into the right heel, turn the right toes in, pressing to your left heel, turn the whole femur bone out. Then lift your right heel up, wrap that outer right hip forward, straighten both your legs for a moment and root down through that right heel so that you've got the resistance, you've got the brain, the balance in that back foot. And then against that resistance, bend your left knee now. And on the right thigh, roll this inner right groin back and out. So you wrap that outer right hip forward and draw the outer left hip back. Get the tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone action, and lift from the pelvic floor to the base of your head up. Remember that block in the dorsal thoracic? Dig it deep into your back. Open up your chest into that back bending action. And now draw your arms back and up. Hit out onto the belt with your forearms. Elbows slightly bent, especially for those of you with hyperextension, which there are quite a few of you in this class. Bend your elbows. Hug your outer upper arms in to the center line. Relax the upper trapezius away from your neck. Free your throat. Soften your eyes. Oh, beautiful, everybody. Wow. And then from there, turn forward once again. Square your feet. And now you can drop the belt. Let the belt go completely. Let it go. Step your feet together. And we're going to do a short little flow. I'm going to demonstrate and then we'll do it together. So very simple. Uttanasana. So here, see the back bend here also. But you've got to keep the tailbone, pubic bone action to protect the lower back so that you can open up into the upper back area. That's the essence of back bending. And then from there, those of you with sensitive knees, you might want a blanket under the knee. We're going to step the right, we're going to lead with the right leg first, coming into a lunge. Again, just go as far as your body can allow you to keep the length in the lower back. And then from there, hands down, we'll step back. And Anahata posture here. So thighs perpendicular, your hands are going to go quite far forward. If you can, you drop your chin down, otherwise forehead. And here, your arms are on the floor. This external rotation of the upper arms, we're going to focus on here. And then from there, coming forward, first Sphinx Pose. Some of you might stay here. Bhujangasana. And then going back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Stepping forward with that same leg. And then we'll come back the same way we started, Uttanasana. Okay, so come and stand at the front edge of your mat. If your knees are sensitive, take a blanket. And then come and stand in Tadasana. Bend your knees, reach your arms up. Remember the belt. You want to create that same action, wrapping those outer upper arms forward. Tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So you get the connection in the pelvis. That block into your dorsal thoracic to open your chest. So you're essentially in a back bend. Exhale, Uttanasana, diving forward. Inhale, Uttanasana, open your chest and then step your right leg back. We're leading with the right leg first. Drop the knee down onto the floor or onto your blanket. For today, keep the back toes tucked under. It gives you control over the hamstring. And then before you go anywhere, get the connection of tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. That also compacts the outer hips. And then you can safely come up, bringing your arms up and back. And again, focus on that block in the dorsal thoracic area, outer upper arms hugging forward. And your pelvis, even though your pelvis is dropping, your hips are dropping down, but lift up the spine. Eject your torso out of your pelvis. And then on the next exhale, bring your hands down. Step back, Adho Mukha Svanasana, downward facing dog. From here, drop your knees down onto the floor, thighs perpendicular. Walk your hands far forward. Keep them wide, wider than your shoulders, and then drop your arms down. Drop your chin onto the floor. If that's strong for your neck, then rather take your forehead down. And now as you stay here in Anahata, Anahata means heart, as you melting your heart to the floor. But protect your lower back and keep that tailbone, pubic bone connection, especially if your lower back is flexible. And now focus on that external rotation in your upper arms. Your arms are dropping down to the floor as best you can, arms straight as best you can. Roll your inner upper arms up and out and wrap those outer armpits towards each other. Then from here, shoot yourself forward and come to lie down on your abdomen in a Sphinx pose. Elbows directly underneath your shoulders and widen your legs as wide as your sticky mat for today. Roll your inner groins back and out so you get that space in your lower back. And then push your hands into the floor, lift your chest up, push your pubic bone forward and up to create that space in the lower back. And then again, focus on this external rotation of your upper arms and hug your outer upper arms in. Exhale, lower your forehead down onto the earth. Tuck your toes under, broadly spread your abdomen back to your spine, go back, Adho Mukha Svanasana. Now step your feet together for a moment. And then from there, I didn't actually show this, but it works nicely. So bring your right leg up to the sky and then step your right leg forward, coming back into a lunge with the right leg. Drop your left knee down, either on the floor or on your blanket. Tuck the left toes under, so you've got control over that hamstring. Before you come up, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. Feel how it hugs your outer hips in. It gives you balance and it contains your energy in your pelvis. And then from there, bring your arms up and back. And remember that block in your dorsal thoracic area, opening the chest, outer upper arms, wrapping forward. And then exhale, bring your hands down onto the earth. And now listen carefully. You're going to step your left foot, your right foot, what is forward? So you're going to step your left foot forward. So stepping your left foot to the front of your mat. Exhale, Uttanasana. Bend your knees. Inhale, Utkatasana. And then come into stand, Tadasana. Just take a moment. And now we're going to repeat, but we're going to lead with the left leg, the forward and back step. Inhale, Utkatasana. So stay here for a moment. Tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. So here you can practice your back bending. Feel that block in the dorsal thoracic area. Wrap the outer upper arms forward. Exhale, Uttanasana, folding forward. Very nice, everyone. Inhale, open your collarbones. And then exhale, step your left foot back. Drop the left knee down. The toes are tucked under once again. And then tailbone, pubic bone connection, outer hips compact. And our second round on each side, see if you can go a little bit deeper. So bringing your arms up and back, and maybe you can lean back a little bit. Keep the space in the lower back area and in the back of your head. Nice. Exhale your hands down. Step into Adho Mukha Svanasana. And then from there, drop your knees down. Toes stay tucked under. Thighs perpendicular. Hands wider than your shoulders, walk them forward. Anahatasana, melt your heart to the earth, chin down, forehead down, whatever works for your body. Those of you with flexible lower backs especially, keep the tailbone, pubic bone connection. And then feel that external rotation of the upper arms. It's a difficult action to get here, but this is a very good place to practice it. So inner upper arms rolling up and out, outer upper arms hugging in towards each other. They're rolling down to the floor and in towards each other. Draw thighs back a little bit more. You're cheating with your shoulders there. Okay, and then shooting, I know your shoulders, it's strong. Okay, and then from there, come to lie down on the earth. Elbows underneath your shoulders, legs, liberate your legs, take them as wide as your sticky mat. Get the rotation of your inner groins back and out. So you're wrapping those outer hips down to the floor. And if you're feeling sensitive, you can just stay in this Sphinx pose. Otherwise, push your hands into the floor, push your pubic bone forward and lift your pubic bone up towards your breastbone and come into Bhujangasana. Keep that external rotation of your upper arms, your collarbones wide, your shoulders relaxed. Exhale, lower your forehead down. Bring your hands so that they're under your shoulders now. Tuck your toes under, abdomen back to your spine, and then push back Adho Mukha Svanasana, back into your dog stretch. Step your feet together and reach your left leg up to the sky. And then step your left foot forward. Drop your right knee down onto the floor. So again, back toes stay tucked under. Get the action of your tailbone to your pubic bone to your tailbone. So this is the last lunge. You can really get that action. And then you've got the pelvic area set up. And now you can liberate your upper body. So just find how deep can you go in a safe way. Feel with your own integrity in the pose. Keep the space in the lower back, keep the space at the back of your neck. And then exhale your hands down to the earth. Again, listen carefully. So from here, you're going to step your right foot forward. Inhale, lengthen Urdhva Uttanasana. Exhale to fold Uttanasana. Bend your knees, Utkatasana. And then coming to stand in Tadasana. Okay. So observe the screen. We're going to go into quite a passive Bhujangasana. It's actually so nice to hold. This is a posture that sometimes can be quite strong for people, but we're going to do it in a restorative way. So you're going to take your block. You can take a wooden block as well. It doesn't matter. And it's going to be placed. Here's your pubic bone. The block is going to come above your pubic bone into that lower abdominal area. Your pubic bone is going to try and push down to the floor. So an important action, just trying to orientate myself here, important action in Bhujangasana is pushing the pubic bone into the floor and lifting it up towards the breastbone. Then you get the unlocking of your lower back area. So it's going to look like this. You'll bring it about 1/3 into your mat. And you're going to place your abdomen onto the block. But your pubic bone, it depends on your proportions. The bottom of your pubic bone might touch the floor. You're kind of going for that if it's possible. Depends on the height of your block as well. And then we'll start in, again, in Sphinx Pose. And for those of you wanting to go further, we're going to hold it now. And you'll feel that where the block is in your lower abdominal area, you want to lift away from the block. But it will also help you to protect your lower back. Okay, so come and stand onto your hands and your knees and put your block into about 1/3 of your mat from the front. And it's in the center of your mat. And then when you are ready, come and lie down with your abdomen onto the block, but your pubic bone free of the block. So your pubic bone is behind the block. Come onto your forearms. So your elbows are underneath your shoulders. Liberate your legs wide for today. This is not traditional, but we're doing it like this for today. And then just stay in your Sphinx pose for a moment. So if you're already feeling that your lower back is sensitive, then you're just going to stay there. Make sure that the block is pushing this lower abdominal area back to the lower spine. So there's support for you. Roll your inner groins, those of you that can see the camera, back and out. So you're wrapping them around like that. That opens the lower back. Push your pubic bone into the floor and lift it up towards your breastbone. That's also going to unlock your lower back. And then those of you going further, push your hands forward into the floor and lift your chest up into Bhujangasana. There's a slight little bend in the elbows. And then externally rotate this upper arm area. Hug your outer upper arms in. Lift your chest. Remember that block in the dorsal thoracic area. Drop your shoulders. Open your throat. So very elegantly. And, you know, in Ashtanga Yoga, which I used to do for many years, the drishti, the gazing point, would be down your nose if you go into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana or into Bhujangasana, a lot of the back bends. And Richard Freeman used to say, look down your nose like a snob. So there's, not that we want to be snobs in yoga, but there's that kind of elegance in the posture. And you feel like you can stay here and smell the roses all day. And there's just the sense of freedom. You're creating energetic art. There's nowhere to go. There's nothing to achieve. You just in this beautiful space, enjoying the energy being created in your spine. And remember, at any point, if it gets a bit much, you just drop your elbows down. But keep that elegance in the front body, that inner elegance, that openness, just for the sake of being open. And let your breath flow with freedom. So if you find that you're contracting the breath, just again, you're just having an experience, or actually the experience is moving through you. You're just the space holder. You're just the background within which all of it is unfolding. Just taking a few moments more. Okay. Slowly lower back down onto your forearms. Remove your block. Tuck your toes under and push back into Adho Mukha Svanasana. So don't resist the urge to fold forward for now, if you can. Dog stretch is a neutral spinal stretch. So you're just bringing neutrality to the spine. And then from there, come to drop down onto your knees and come and sit on your heels in Vajrasana, like we started in the beginning. Those of you with quite tight lower backs, this is where I would recommend 2 of your belts with a loop in each belt. Okay, I'll demonstrate in a moment how you're going to use it. So just have a look first and then we'll go there. So those of you with tighter lower backs, you can prepare your belt so long. And then again, so we're going to come back into the Sphinx pose. And then this is also an option. You, instead of going to the full Dhanurasana, you can also just be here. You can also work here. Just don't give yourself a bum cramp, okay, because the hamstrings are activated here. Those of you going into the full posture, as far as you can, hold on to the shin bone. So it's fine to hold here, but the more you go down, the better you're going to get the lift of the posture. And then I'm not going to do anything really. I'm just keeping my chest open, but the action is the shin bones drawing back and up, back and up, back and up, and that's bringing me up into the posture. Those of you that want to go into the full posture but have tight lower backs, you can bring a loop around the fronts of each of your feet. So you just have to sort it out here, and then you can take the loops and you can pull the loops up and back. Okay, that's an option here as well. So from where you are, come to lie down in your Sphinx pose onto your forearms. And again, just as you land, remind yourself of that action of the inner groins rolling back and out, the pubic bone pushing forward and up. The shoulders are already nice and open. There's going to be a natural external rotation here. Then from there, bend your knees and take your feet up. There's talk about flexing the feet, pointing the toes. Different traditions say different things. You decide what works for you. So you're using your own intuition here. And then from there, either taking your loops around your feet or staying in this position, or you're going to catch your outer ankles or your shin bones, wherever you can reach. Some of you might just want to stay here and breathe. Otherwise, it's the shin bones that are drawing up and back to lift your body up. Again, there's that looking down the nose, which is the drishti. So that's the gazing point. So you're looking inward, throat open, that inner elegance, and just finding the shape. At any point, if you feel you've had enough, then you're just going to come back onto your forearms. But if you can hold it for another 2 breaths, see, can you pull your shin bones more? Up and back. That's it, Kari. Up and back, up and back, up and back. Okay, everybody. And then exhale, relax. Just bring your hands under your forehead and let your feet roll out to the side. We're going to go in a second round in a moment. But just take some rest. Just feel, again, there's like liberation moving through you. That's really the back bending. And in the process of doing the back bend, sometimes there's, you know, residual energy that's built up, residual tension, and it gets released. If there's toxin in the body, it gets released into the bloodstream. So this is very much a clearing of the nervous system, of the physical body. And that's really why we do it, energizing to the spine. So one more, come onto your forearm, set yourself up. So if you find, I've had enough here, then you can stay in the Sphinx pose. So, and just work on that pubic bone pushing into the floor action. Those of you going further, you're going to find the actions on your own now, bending the knees, either stay there or take your belt loops. Or you're going to hold onto your ankles or front of your shins. Stay here for a moment. Already open the throat. Keep that rotation, inner groins back and out. And then from there, take the shin bones back and up, back and up. Try and lift your thighs off the floor as you go up and back. Throat is open. The head weighs a lot. Don't drop your head. Keep your head up. Keep your chin up. So keep showing up. That's really the discipline. You're just showing up for the pose and you letting the pose move through you. You're letting the energy open you up. Last few moments for those of you that are in it. Let's see, can you take the shin bones more up and back, up and back, up and back. Throat soft. Okay, exhale, release. Bring your hands under your forehead and just take rest. Let your heels drop out to the side. Just take a moment to rest. Ruth, when you, it's almost 1:30, just take a child's pose here, hey? Take a long child's pose to rest instead of Shavasana. Okay, no, not everybody else, hold on. The other people are also taking liberty here. Come into your dog stretch. We're gonna do a little bit more back bending before we end. Okay, Adho Mukha Svanasana, stay in a neutral spine. Unless it is that you are leaving now, then you need a child's pose, but we're going to do one more session of back bends. So take your dog stretch, just let your spine come into a neutral space. And we're going to do, so we've still got 15 minutes and we're going to do one more session of little back bends and then we'll unwind the spine. So for those of you in your dog stretch, again, drop onto your knees and come and sit. And then just observing from here. So if you need to come closer to the screen, you can. So those of you working with like a lower back sensitivity right now, you're just going to stay in your Setu Bandha pose. Those of you wanting to go further into Urdhva Dhanurasana, make it a restorative Urdhva Dhanurasana. So I'll demonstrate all of it here. If you've got a ponytail and whatever, I recommend taking it out, because we're going to do this kind of step by step, especially if you're going into the full pose. So we'll all start together in a Setu Bandha, interlocking the hands, rocking onto the tops of the shoulders. And then from there, those of you going further, you're already halfway there. Your body's lifted up, tailbone, pubic bone connection. And then hands under your shoulders. And make sure the elbows stay hugged in. And then coming onto the crown of your head. That'll be the first step. Some of you might just stay there. Next, from there, you're going to lift up into the pose. Those of you, and here comes the hugging of the outer upper arms in. Those of you going further from here, if you would like to make the posture stronger, you can choose, again, different systems say different things. You can either walk your hands in or your feet. I like to walk my hands in because I can see where they are, and then I know that they're aligned. And then those of you walking in, you'll walk out again and then come down. Everybody else, if you're feeling your back is quite sensitive, you'll just stay in the Setu Bandha. Okay, we're going to do 2 rounds of that. So come to lie down on your back. Oh, just one more thing, have a look here. Once we've done those 2 rounds, the next first release posture is going to be with a block between your groins. Either your shins parallel if your hamstrings are tight, or you're going to take your legs straight up to the sky, hold on to the sticky mat to pull the upper buttocks away from your heels. And then there's just this lower abdominal area ironing out the lower back. So that's going to be the first release posture we're going to do after this. So have a block close by. Come and lie down on your back with your knees bent, your feet flat onto the earth. And then make sure that your hands are beside your body, palms facing down. Press into your hands and your feet. From your middle buttock area, lift your pelvis up. Interlock your hands underneath your back and then rock onto the tops of your shoulders. So Setu Bandha Sarvangasana, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone. Very important connection here. Remember that block in your dorsal thoracic area. Imagine that pushing the chest up. Some of you can stay here. If you're wanting to go a little deeper, you'll transfer your hands so that they're underneath your shoulders, your fingers facing towards your feet, your fingers spread wide. Elbows, hug them into the midline. So sometimes they splay out to the side. Keep them in. And then first lift up onto the crown of your head. So this is where you don't want your ponytail in the way. Hold it there. Hug your elbows in. Plug your upper arm bones into your shoulder sockets. Those of you going further from there, you'll straighten your arms. Imagine that block in the dorsal thoracic area, bringing the chest up. And then holding it there. Inner groins, everybody, rolling back and out. And now those of you going even further, you will choose. You will either walk your hands or your feet in. See what comes naturally to you, and you'll come into a little bit of a deeper back bend. Keep the tailbone, pubic bone connection. And then if you walked your hands or your feet in, walk them out again. And then everybody slowly lower down and come down onto the floor. So make sure that you're doing an active back bend. I'm seeing some people use blocks. Don't use the blocks for now. We're going to stay with the action in the spine. And then from there, one more time, bringing your hands and your feet onto the floor. You're going to choose the variation that works for you. From your middle buttocks, lift your pelvis up. Interlock your hands underneath your back. Rock onto the tops of your shoulders. Tuck your shoulders in. And then first stay in your Setu Bandha, very important, tailbone to pubic bone to tailbone, and that action of a block into that dorsal thoracic area coming deep into your back. So your chest is open. Now transfer your hands so that your hands are underneath your shoulders, fingers pointing towards your feet. Make sure your elbows are hugged in. Then Lift up onto the crown of your head. Stay there. Draw your upper arm bones into your shoulder sockets. And then those of you going further, you'll straighten your arms and lift up from there. Imagine that block in the dorsal thoracic area, lifting the chest up. Everybody roll your inner groins back and out. And then those of you going further, you'll walk your hands or your feet in. And then once again, walk your hands or your feet out. And very, very slowly coming down. And just pause for a moment. So you land onto your back. Just let your lower back be in neutral. And we're going to start the releasing process by bringing a block in between your thighs as high up into your groin area. So you stay with your lower back on the floor and your block is in between the thighs, high up into the groin area. Those of you with open hamstrings, if you would like to straighten your legs up to the sky, you can do that. Otherwise, you keep your shin bones parallel to the earth. Squeeze your block to the foot end of your mat. And then bring your hands behind your head and lift up your chest to your thighs. So that will iron out. If you draw your abdomen back to your lower spine, it's going to iron out the lower back area. It's one of the most effective ways of releasing the lower back. Make sure that your lower back is pressed into the floor though. Squeeze that block to the foot end of your mat. Lift your shoulder blades off the earth. And then suck your abdomen back to your lower spine and up in the direction of your chest. And breathe. And then from there, exhale slowly, lower your feet down, lower your head down, remove your block. So if your lower back is feeling sensitive, then you're just going to reach your one arm up and roll to the side to come onto your hands and your knees. Otherwise, you're going to rock yourself forward and backwards a few times to build momentum and rock yourself up to come to stand on your hands and your knees. And then come and sit onto your heels and just observe this next pose. So sometimes what happens with the back bends is we build a lot of tension around the neck area. We're going to release that now. Again, if you've got a ponytail, I would just recommend taking it out because it gets into the way here. Make sure you can see the detail of what I'm doing. So if you need to come closer to your screen, then do that. So I'm in Vajrasana to start. My hands are going to go next to my ears. So I'm going to place my forehead down, hands next to the ears. And then from here, the hands stay in place next to the ears. They're not moving at all. I'm going to apply pressure to my head and then roll along the center hairline all the way over to the back of the head. So I tuck my chin in and then here releasing the upper trapezius area, spreading the shoulder blades. And then we'll slowly go back and we'll do this for a few rounds. My hands are staying in place. So from where you are, coming into Vajrasana seat, and then bringing your hands down and place your forehead down. And check that your hands are in line with where your ears are. Apply pressure to your forehead. Keep your hands in place, spreading the fingers wide, and then slowly begin to roll along the center hairline all the way to the back of your head. So you keep going, keep going, keep going. So you round your upper back, your buttocks are lifted high up. This is called rabbit pose. Abdomen back to your spine. Let the tops of your shoulders release down your back. Spread your shoulder blades wide, protract them. And then very slowly, keeping the pressure, go all the way back to seated on your heels. Keep your head down. And then again, slowly from the forehead, along the hairline, roll, roll, roll until you get all the way to your furthest extent to the back of your head, Stay there, tucking the chin in. Spread the shoulder blades, release the upper trapezius. And then very slowly going all the way back. So you can repeat some more of this after class if you need it. For now, come up to seated. Just make sure that wherever you're sitting, you can see the screen. We can do this together. So you're going to stretch your legs out in front of you. And then come and sit in Dandasana. If your hips are tight or your lower back is tight, please sit on some height. You can sit on a block. And for those of you also that are quite tight, it would be good to have a chair now. You don't necessarily have to rest your head, but it could be nice. Those of you that are flat on the floor, you can use your block. Your head is going to go on your block. And we're going to cross the legs. Cross your right leg in front of your left leg. We'll do this together. So you're crossing in the middle of your shin bones. Release your buttock flesh back. And then from there, walk your hands forward, so wider than your shoulders, and drop your head either on the floor, if it comes comfortably, or take support for your head, either one block or a higher block, or maybe even a chair to rest your head on. Just see what you need so that you can let your shoulders and your elbows relax. You can let your head relax. Just a nice release of that outer glute area, release of the lower back area. Soften the shoulders. So if you don't have support, you can also just let your head relax, but it is a little bit more comfortable if your head can be on something. And let the skin of your forehead soften in the direction of your heart space, so that there's a softening of the energy inward. Elanya, for your hips, you can roll a blanket into your lap, hey? Yeah. Or you've got your hip belt on. Okay, perfect. Let your shoulders relax and release. So almost see this as part of your Shavasana. In fact, I fell asleep like this in a yin class the other day. And then woke up after the class is finished. It was a little bit strong on the hips, I must say. I don't know how long I was there. But it's very yin. It really is like you can completely let go here. It's part of the Shavasana process. Okay, and then from there, slowly come back up. And without disturbing yourself too much, just straighten your legs out and change the cross of your legs. So the other leg comes in front, cross in the middle of your shins. It gets to a different area of the outer hips and the lower back. Take your buttock flesh back. And then folding forward. Use whatever support you used on the other side. Just completely softening, settling, letting go. Just that sense of freedom, that sense of spaciousness as you let go. And then from there, slowly come back up. Just stretch your legs out once again. And we're going to come into a prone Shavasana for the next 2 minutes that we have. And you're going to take your blanket and roll it up. So you make a nice long roll with your blanket. Nice long thickish roll. And place it towards the front of your mat, and it's kind of like in a bow, like this, okay? And your elbows are going to be on the blanket, and your hands rested in front of the blanket, but your elbows wide out so your shoulders can relax, and the blanket onto your hairline area so that your nose and your mouth is completely free. So therefore you need to have this little bow on the inside so that your forehead is supported, but your nose is free and heels out to the side, and you can just rock a little bit your hips from side to side. And this is how we're gonna do our Shavasana today on the abdomen. So check that your elbows are supported by the blanket. So your elbows are wide, wide, wide out to the side. You've got a nice thick roll, and your elbows are supported by the blanket. And you want to make like a rounded shape a little bit so that the forehead is supported, but it's more like the hairline of the forehead. So there's a slight little bow. And then completely softening, releasing into that spacious freedom. Allow the breath to flow in its natural rhythm. Allow your breath to become slightly fuller and deeper once again. There's that sense of inner freedom as you breathe. And then bring your hands so that your hands are underneath your shoulders. Draw your abdomen back to your lower spine and just push up onto your hands and your knees. Bring your feet together and come into Balasana for a short moment so that you have your knees together. You can either rest your arms beside your body or you can rest your elbows out to the side. Just see what works for you. It's the sense of coming into that seed state, that pure potential of being, from where we live our lives as a work of art. And then slowly from there, rolling yourself up and coming to seated on your heels once again, palms of your hands together at your heart. And just taking a moment here to honor that spacious freedom you've created inside yourself. And namaste. Thank you all for your beautiful energy this morning.